Welcome to Holiday Let Insider, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the holiday letting industry. Brought to you by Host Planet and Sykes Holiday Cottages, this show is packed with expert insights, real-world strategies, and actionable advice to help you succeed as a holiday let host. I'm James Varley, the founder of Host Planet, and in each episode we'll dive into key topics like property management, guest experience, and revenue growth, and we'll be joined by industry experts who know what it takes to thrive in this sector. In today's episode, we'll be discussing where to buy a holiday rental in the UK with Harriet Kerr from Sykes Holiday Cottages. See if you can guess the top locations. Are you looking to take the hassle out of holiday letting while setting yourself up for success? With Sykes Holiday Cottages, you benefit from working with a team of real people with vast experience and knowledge, all providing a unique service to support you every step of the way. 11-time consecutive winners of the Best Large Company for UK Holiday Home Rentals at the British Travel Awards, Sykes uses industry-leading pricing systems, dedicated account management, and a network of more than 700 booking partners to help get the most out of your investment. Sykes aims to combine trusted experience with local expertise to help make your holiday let a success. Get in touch today to find out more. Head to sykescottages.co.uk/let your cottage for further details. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Holiday Let Insider. Today's special guest is Harriet Kerr, the Portfolio Director at Sykes Holiday Cottages. How's it going, Harriet?
Great, thank you. How's it going for you?
All good, thank you. Yeah, the sun's shining, so very happy. All right, today we're going to discuss making your first holiday home investment. So just explain to us how Sykes helps people who are entering the market for the first time.
Yeah, thanks, James. I think it's really important to note that this is still very much, holiday letting is very much a thriving market. And for anyone entering the market, it may feel slightly overwhelming. There's lots of information and there's lots of changes going on. So but it's really important for us to make it simple and straightforward and provide as much advice as we possibly can. So for people entering the market, we've got lots of pieces of information available to them. And we've also got lots of services available. So we can, on our website, we've got a host of content which will provide articles on how to approach holiday letting for success, how to optimise property, how to go about all the varying different things they need to know depending on where in the country they're looking to purchase. We've got a holiday homes for sale page, which is a market place full of holiday homes that are for sale. We also have income calculators for people who are not sure on how much they may earn, which give really good guidance on the income based on the location and usually the size and any features of the property. And we also have mortgage comparisons, so anyone who's looking to obtain a holiday let mortgage. So we've got various different services available. So it depends on where they are in their journey, whether they're dreaming of something, currently on holiday and dreaming of it, or whether they're a lot further down the line, we can help them.
Yeah, really comprehensive set of resources there. And just how important is it to do your research if you're getting involved in this sector?
It's really important, setting a property up for success at the very early stages, and whether you're building, buying, planning, having a holiday home and setting it up is quite different to how you may live in a house, and whether you for a residential use or long-term let. So it's important to know your stuff and do lots of reading or gain support from the experts. So for anyone who is slightly further down in their journey and they have a property and that maybe they're looking to renovate or they're not quite sure what to do, our local experts can go to the property, give them local information if they're not from the area, local suppliers and support, and also give practical advice around important issues such as health and safety, or again, how to set the property up for success from a personal choice decoration perspective, but all the really important practical points of view to ensure that once the property is up and running, that the property gets the best reviews from the customers and holidaymakers enjoy themselves ultimately.
With Sykes, is it a case with owners to give them as much hand-holding as they might need during the journey?
It really depends on what they need. If they're a seasoned, experienced holiday let owner who's been doing it for years, but perhaps they're looking for a different level of service, then we can onboard them in a super efficient way in a matter of hours. However, if somebody's really on the early stages, we could handhold them and support them through their journey for years, genuinely. And we do see that. So it really depends on the level of service that individual needs, and how much advice and support they want. But they can work with us in any way they choose, really.
There will be investors out there who know the area that they want to buy in. Maybe they've been holidaying to a particular seaside resort for years and they've always dreamed of owning somewhere there. But I guess there might be people out there who are investors also that want to buy a holiday let and they want to know what the best locations are to invest. So with that in mind, where are the places that people should be looking to buy their first rental?
Yeah, I mean, we publish lots of data around this, and hot off the press is some data in reference to sort of key locations, and really there's kind of 5 large locations. So and it's no surprise that the locations are top holiday hotspots. So in first place is the Lake District, and a number of key locations there: Grasmere, Windermere, Bowness, and so on. The Cotswolds is a classic, Stow-on-the-Wold. I'm from Oxford, so know it well, and Bourton-on-the-Water. Cornwall, so the north coast of Cornwall in particular, focusing around Carbis Bay, Grantop Newquay, that kind of area. The Peak District, and then also an up-and-coming location, which hasn't featured in our kind of top 10 before, is Suffolk. And it's also been noted as a kind of key location, but from the Lonely Planet as a new up-and-coming location. And so it's maybe we're sort of referring to it as a location of one to watch.
Excellent, yeah. And is Suffolk a place where perhaps you might be seeing more demand in future, and maybe there's not as much competition there as there are in places like the Cotswolds and Lake District, of course?
Yeah. So one of the things that's not really too surprising on some of these key locations are that they are year-round locations, we see a lot of what we refer to as kind of staycation snacking, and like more shorter, more regular trips and people booking last minute. So locations such as the Lake District, Cotswolds, Peak District are quite easy to get to for most. And perhaps we're seeing that slightly maybe with Suffolk, although, for some it can be a lot further to go to, but perhaps for others it's a much place where it's sort of a shorter trip. So whereas some other locations such as Scotland and Cornwall, we tend to see longer trips in those locations because they're slightly further to get to.
Yeah, obviously you got to get your money's worth if you've got a 5 or 6 hour drive or something like that. Are there any other up and coming locations that people should be having a look at?
I mean, those are the main sort of key focus areas that we've looked at in our report. And it really does depend on, what somebody's looking for from an investment. I mean, in terms of the cost, the output, whether they want to use the property themselves and so on, or whether they're looking purely for an investment. So we like to sort of say to people, talk to us about what are your needs, from your business idea, and we can help shape that for you.
Yeah, it always interests me with the holiday let industry that we have people on such a huge scale. You've got people who've got a property maybe that they've inherited and they might use it a few times a year, all the way up to the really serious investors who are looking to scale as much as they can. What do you find that the split is between those people? Is it mostly people who've got their own rentals that they want to use several times a year, or is it a lot of like high-end investors, I guess?
Genuinely, like, even splits, and we see, some people who are kind of hobbyists, where it's their lifestyle, so they live on site, they want to provide, they've got land, they want to provide good quality accommodation, and they are part of the holiday experience. So they might, for example, provide a shepherd's pie on arrival, and they'll organise local activities, or provide a really fantastic local hamper. And there are others that have never even been to their property because they live overseas, and then there's every mix in between. So yeah, we do see a vast array of different reasons, and there's an emotive element to it too for some. So some where like you say, where they've inherited the property and they've got an emotional tie. So there's the decisions that they make aren't easy to make, and we're sympathetic to that, and we just we want to support owners in the best way that we can, that suits them. And for others, I say, if they've not been there and actually it's just a matter of how the income, the return of investment and the income that comes in, great, okay, we can support that too. So complete mix.
I'm sure there are people out there listening who are really excited at the prospect of buying their first holiday rental. What would be the top bits of advice you would give them? Maybe the top one or two things that they have to get right from the start?
Yeah, I think getting the advice and talking to the right organisations around setting the property up for success. And when I say that, what that means is not only the sort of interior and the decoration, but the health and safety aspects, setting it up for thinking about from a customer perspective, ensuring that you're working with a reputable organisation that can give you good advice on income, and so therefore getting the pricing right, so to ensure that you optimise the number of the pricing and bookings, and therefore the income, and all of that. That's the sort of recipe for a successful business. And gaining as much information as you possibly can at the earlier stages is key.
And when owners work with you, what are your top tips for success and managing the property effectively? What are the common traits between the owners and the properties that are really successful?
I think so. Quality is key, and ensuring that when people go on holiday, they usually want to go on holiday and stay in a place that's nicer than their own, or at least match their own, if not nicer than their own. Responding to guest feedback, once up and running, responding to guest feedback and again, this can be an emotive topic for some owners. They find it difficult that a customer may not have enjoyed their stay, or may have made a comment on something that to them was important, and to an owner not necessarily. So I think making sure that there is a response to all reviews. We work with owners around what's important to them. Is it the income, or is it the because for some some people have two properties and treat them completely differently. So it may be that they want to get lots of bookings in one property because they want to maximise the income, and in the other they're quite happy for there to be some open availability so that they can use it when it's not booked. So it really depends on what they are looking to achieve from their business. But we always focus in on quality, health and safety, responding to reviews, from a booking and an income perspective, ensuring that the pricing is right, and we can give obviously lots of different options and guidance around that. Accepting short breaks is also really important. We're seeing shorter, more regular trips, people booking last minute, really last minute. So having the ability to book shorter breaks is really important.
Yeah, I think that comes down to flexibility a lot of the time. And when it comes to flexibility with maybe the shorter breaks and particularly the pricing, how important is that? And how do you make sure that you get the pricing right? Especially when you're having those conversations with the owners at the start of, making sure that the rate is something that they're going to be happy with.
Yeah, we always try to provide realistic income projection rather than anything that's potentially pie in the sky. So yeah, we focus in on setting the base price at the most realistic price, and then we have the ability, depending on the choices the owner has, the options the owner chooses. We have varying different things available that we can do to optimize that price. So we can move it upwards or downwards depending on the demand in the market. And this is some of our superpower around understanding the demand that's in the market and optimizing the price towards that. So if in super peak, for example, we can see that there's particular demand in an area, then we will look to flexibly move those prices, and vice versa at the times of the year. So setting that base price is really important. And we work with our owners and talk to our owners where we see performance perhaps off par, or we see performance really flying, then we look to potentially move and increase those base prices and look at doing various reviews.
Now, there are challenges in the holiday let industry at the moment. There's lots of things being thrown at owners, whether it's tax changes or regulation or registration schemes, fire regulations, all this kind of thing. There will be people out there a little bit worried, thinking, I'm not sure if I want to get involved in this. But what would your message be to people who perhaps are a little bit standoffish about investing at the moment?
Yeah, it absolutely is an evolving landscape for people who are either joining or are in the holiday letting industry. And the things that our owners are most worried about are increases in council tax, a potential levy, tourism levy, and also the potential licensing schemes. These things do worry people either entering or currently in it. We however, having said all of that, only 3% of our owners are leaving because of any regulatory issue. So we see that as fairly small. And actually, 23% of owners that we spoke to are looking at investing in more so. So they're already making a success out of what they currently do, and they're looking at growing that, which I think is a really healthy stat. However, we support our owners with all of these regulatory issues, and we have a highly skilled, knowledgeable team who are working with the government and lobbying the government to make sensible decisions in this space. It's really important to us that the right decisions are made for the right reasons, and we've seen in the past that hasn't always happened. And it's important to us that we have a voice, and that we have a voice on behalf of our owners.
Yeah, Sykes is always really good at sharing kind of what's going on in the industry as well, and the lobbying efforts, of course. And just how important is it to keep your owners informed about what's happening in the industry, and how do you do that?
Really important. Our CEO Graham has just recently been announced as the chair of the STAA, which is Short Term Accommodation Association, who work together to obviously support owners in this space. And I think it's really important for us to ensure that we are communicating with owners about what may be up and coming, what we're doing about it. We've invested heavily in providing and collating data to share with the government and talk about, the importance of varying topics, the empty housing, the economy, the contribution to the local economies that this sector brings. So I think it's important that we continue to do all of that, complete that activity, and communicate with our owners openly and honestly about what changes on the change in landscape as it is.
Now, we've referenced it a couple of times, but a lot of the stats that you're talking about today are from your holiday letting outlook report, the 2025 version, which has just come out. So if people want to see that, where can they find it?
Yeah, that's right. It's our fourth report, annual report. And we collect this to really get a kind of sense check on kind of the industry. We also produce monthly pulse reports, which sort of provides insights into kind of a monthly snapshot of kind of evolving trends and behaviours. So yeah, they can download it from our website. It's fully available. Some really great stats in there and opinions. It's encourage people to go and take a look.
Yeah, definitely. It is really, really useful. And we've prepared a lot of newsletters based on the various data that Sykes shares. And it's very interesting to see what's happening in the holiday lets industry. Just finally, then, Harriet, if people are interested in working with Sykes, either with their existing portfolio or they want to get involved with investment, where should they go for more information?
Yeah, on the Sykes website, so Sykes Cottages, sykescottages.co.uk, and they can go to Let Your Property, and all the information that they're interested in. Lots of various different articles they can find, or just send an inquiry through or pick up the phone.
Superb. We will put all those details in the show notes. Harriet, thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of Holiday Let Insider.
Thank you, James. Lovely to speak to you.
Great to chat to Harriet Kerr there from Sykes Holiday Cottages. I hope you found that episode useful. No surprise that the Lake District and the Cotswolds are the best performing locations in the UK. All right, that's it for today's episode. If you're keen to work with Sykes Holiday Cottages, head to sykescottages.co.uk/let your cottage. For more free education, tips and trends from the STR industry, visit houseplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. That's it for today's edition of Holiday Let Insider. Until next time, happy hosting.